my thoughts are going a million different directions right now, and that's pretty common. Not much I can do about it. Sorry. I can apologize for it. There you go. Sorry. So, where was I? I don't even know. Pilot guy. The WW2. And he fits in the cockpit, even with all the stuff I've already added in there. It goes in pretty nice. Look, watch. You just kind of stick those big old boots in there, and then you just kind of finagle and finesse. And that's not, I mean, I don't know what the camera sees. That's, you know, he's obviously going to be glued in, all right? He's not going to be doing that. But, you know, he fits in there pretty good, sits at the right height. The canopy leaves about, I don't know, what would look like about 3 scale inches between the top of his head and the inside of the canopy proper. So, I don't know, I think it's good. At some point here now, I've got those last couple of junction boxes, electrical boxes to put in, and then there'll be the gun sight. We'll be building up the gun sight and then laying that in right here, top of the panel where it goes. The K14, I think, is one gun sight, and then there's the earlier one, and it's the earlier sight that I'm going to be doing, not the late war, the one you might be familiar with from the Mustang. Primarily, you see that in the later issues of the P51 D25 NA Mustang, and in some of the later, obviously the later P47s had the same fancy gun sight, but the earlier sight, the one before that, that had the 2 glass discs sticking out, and that's the one I'm going to be. That's what I'm going to be doing. I can't think off the top of my head what mark or what series that one is, but it's the earlier collimating gun sight that I'll be trying to replicate and stick on top of the panel. That will just be attached. I can build it at any time, but I can't attach it until right before I put the glue the windscreen on. That's the point at which that thing gets glued in there. Can't put it in any time before that because I'm going to be doing a lot of sanding and finish work, and painting, and all that stuff. Well, not painting, but finish work. So it'll be one of the last steps. It'll be the very last step right before I put the glue the windscreen on. We'll stick that gun sight in there. All right, that should bring the canopy or the cockpit all the way up to where it's, you know, the finished production. The gun barrels, I don't know if I talked about these in an earlier video. I thought I had, but I couldn't find it. But anyway, these are all done. They're not permanently fixed. I just drilled out the holes and shoved them in. But what I have is the brass tubing is the core. That's this tubing. So inside of each of those aluminum barrels is a brass barrel. And that just gives it depth when you look in from the front. And you can see that little bit of brass peeking out at you in there. With the aluminum over the top. Now this does fit over that, but it's not. That's a recent cut, and I haven't cleaned it up yet. So after the saw cuts are done, you have to come in with the round file and get in there and clean these out so that it'll again slide over the brass. When you're buying your tubings and you're doing things like telescoping main landing gear legs, or you're doing gun barrels, or you're doing anything of that nature, you obviously want to use metals that are diameters that, you know, fit nicely inside of each other, where you need that feature to be part of your program, part of the look. In other words, you're not sticking. I didn't make these legs. If you watch the video, obviously they're not just sticking these different lengths of tubing against and end gluing them. Each piece is inserted into the other like an actual telescope, and that gives you the strength and the rigidity of the landing gear leg proper. So it's the same with these gun barrels, or literally anything that I'm making with tubing typically will have a core, and I'll talk about either it'll be a piano wire core, or it'll be a piano wire core plus a minimum diameter plus the ultimate diameter, if it's just a case of where there's just, you know, 2 lengths of tubing over the piano wire. So I try to use those terms when I'm talking about these laid up tubular parts. So that's what you're looking at when you see these gear legs, and just picture a telescope sliding together, and each piece runs the full length, or at least they all terminate at the very top of the landing gear leg. If I pull this off, let's see if I can do that without damaging everything. So every length of tubing that I use comes all the way down to the footing of this leg, and that's why it's such a small diameter. And then also part of that was I needed to use at the very center a piece of tubing that fit just over the piano wire, and that takes out all the slop. In other words, you want that thing, it all has to fit tightly, so that when you do go to use the adhesive on it, once that locks in, there's nowhere for the part to go. These legs are on, and they're affixed in whatever position you glue them in at, and then there's no slop happening between the piano wire core, the ultimate core, and the rest of the landing gear leg. There's no play in that. It's nice and tight in there, so that's what you want. Okay, so I hope that was descriptive and worth watching the whole video. Where did I do with that pilot? I know I had him here. Oh, here you go. I knocked him over. Let's just see how that looks. Yeah, see, that'll be all right with that little bit of silver paint in there. I don't know where he is off camera. That'll be good. A couple more dollops of glue to make that look more lensy and lens-like, and then we'll call them good. So I'm going to dress up these boxes, and instead of trying to paint dials on them, I'll just take a couple of these light trees. These are from the plastic model trucks. They include these trees of running lights and accessory lights for the trailers and stuff. So they're all different diameters, little buttons of plastic. So what I'll be doing is just popping off, let's say, a bunch of these ones here, and painting them silvers. So I'll just spray them, tack them onto the wheel, and the paint wheel, and then just spray them with silver. And those will work as dial faces. We'll get them stuck onto the different boxes in the correct locations. Obviously, try to make these boxes look as scale as possible. And I'll probably cut little lengths of solder or other wire for switches, and we'll just detail these boxes, get them into the cockpit, and that'll also be part of the dress up for the cockpit of this aircraft. Okay, all right, thanks. Everybody have a great day, and I'll see you soon.